All right, this next extended clip, this really cool piece on the mat with Kyle Dake and David Taylor. It's a lot more technical and conversational. They're kind of talking back and forth, and I asked them a few questions from behind the camera, and they get into and go through these positions that occurred in matches where they wrestled each other and explained what they were thinking, how they got there, why they were doing what they were doing. Really, really technical. So you wrestling nerds are going to love this one.
Perfect cursor. Anything else? Keep going on top line. You know how, I forget who did it. They had like a one-arm lace, or one leg with lace. They just grabbed the toe.
Yeah, I was guy in Turkey today. I'll burr off. And then a couple years ago. Yeah, the Iran guy, Golej.
Yeah.
And then that guy, Mongolia did it a couple years ago.
Andoric?
I don't know.
Or good guy?
Burnett used to show it on his highlight video before practice. Here's your number.
Yeah.
Things nasty.
It's like that same finish. Like I think that's where I started figuring out how to finish the same leg on in the heel. Wondering if why it's so difficult to get. Probably just I don't play there enough. On top.
On top.
Just to even cover, just cover. If I hook one foot and then just have the other lace, it's like just go, keep them pinned together. I don't even need to lace them up.
Yeah.
But getting someone's legs together is 60% of the battle, I guess, probably. Yeah, those guys will let it rip anytime. With those types of situations, they don't care. Guess we're gonna have to do that World Championship too.
I gotta figure out how to get that foot off the ground and hook. Oh, I don't think hook the leg works that well. But
What Haji did?
yeah, I feel like you gotta have the guy that's like really trying to go. Like if a guy's patient, you're just bringing your hips up. But I think getting that foot off the ground, at least feel the foot off the ground.
Bring your knee to my outside hip.
The one that's underneath.
So if you're here, and I'm defending this inside knee, so your left knee could it come this way?
I feel like you scoot, put your foot back down, I think. Right? So here, yeah. I mean that's usually what I try and do is you're scooting. I try and just keep throwing this like this. Because that gives me like a.
What would you do if you stepped up?
If I stepped up?
Do a push up with your right hand, and then step up with your.
When I was doing it, I was bringing my body up and you were just going. So I felt like when I was do this, you were just like.
Without bringing it.
Honestly.
I hear it, right?
Just bring the one. I guess I did bring that foot up.
I mean, that's typically what my finish would be.
Right foot up.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, typically I like to throw my foot under and then get. Typically that way. Put my foot under. And I would start doing this. Where I was trying to step that foot over and I kept getting off balance. And then I got some like yeah. And get it up. The one there's still good.
Yeah, flexible shoulders too, though. You should probably go head hump.
Yeah, you're just too balanced. Yeah. But I like doing that sometimes. I haven't done that very often actually now that I think about it.
It's hard when the foot's on the outside. Let's say you try something, they straighten it out.
What?
Alright, what's up guys? This is Mike Mall here. David Taylor, one of the best in the world. What he does, gets in there, collar tie, grabs the wrist, shakes him up, throws him down. You see the key is the arm is bent. It's not straight. It's bent. Watch this, one more time. Because if it's straight, it is not bent. Check it out.
Where Mike Mall?
Hey, just I was gonna say there, just kind of a couple things if you guys are keep going. I'm just kind of curious, like this is the same question for both of you guys. What do you get, or is there anything specifically you get out of, like when I train with Kyle, I get this, or with Kyle, when I train with David, I get this where I can't get anywhere else. Is there?
So a lot of times I'll get like stymied by something that he does. So he'll do something really well, and I'll be like, what was that? So, you know, he'll get me or I'll get him, and then I'll go back home and just play in that position and really, you know, think about it. And then the next time I wrestle, I try to put myself back in that position and test it out. So like, you know, today I was working on playing with the foot, with my outside foot, just because, you know, he's gotten really good at when he gets you in a crackdown, lifting that inside foot up. So for me, you know, just what can I do if I get in that position, right? Boom, shakalaka. Boom, shakalaka. But yeah, so it's just like, you know, figuring out those little positions and testing. You know, I use Dave and guys on the national team as like tests, like how can my technique improve? And I get it the first time, you know, maybe I don't get it the second time, so I go back to the drawing board. Or just like what we were doing, just talking about the position. You know, because obviously, you know, if I'm wrestling, I don't want anybody on my legs. You know, if I have to, maybe, but ideally, I would shoot and score. And if they shoot, I just get an easy spin behind. So, you know, not putting myself in those crazy scramble positions, you know, will increase my longevity, but also just make sure that, you know, I'm working on the things I need to work on.
Yeah, I think, you know, like specifically with Kyle is he's got great defense. So, you know, just understanding that getting your hands locked is just part of the battle. You know, I think for a long time I was trying to just like get one shot, but against the best guys in the world, one shot doesn't do it. It's 2 or 3 or 4 and be able to do it over again. So just getting your hands locked and then figuring out how to score, you know. And like today, for example, we were just playing, you know, it's kind of funny, like when you get to like a certain level, you kind of like know the positions that you're trying to get into, and you kind of both just get there. Like I was just working on trying to get on the left side, and he was trying to play with like not letting me score in that position. So we kept going and just, you know, trying to figure those things out. This last camp, we were kind of playing in a little bit of a position where we saw Haji Aliyev do this high seat or high crotch, split the middle or crackdown, and he like stepped over a far leg, and that's what I was trying to do today. You know, and just when you go against, you can make it work in your mind, or you can make it work on guys that maybe aren't as good in that position, but, you know, in a crackdown chest lock position, you know, Kyle's the best in the world there. So it's just, you know, playing there, getting the feel, you know. Ultimately what you gain confidence in practice and whatever you're most confident doing in competition. So that's a position that I get in a lot. So the more confidence I can get finishing different ways, you know, the higher percentage chance I can finish, you know, when it really matters. So that's like what is really good about wrestling with him, is without even communicating and saying, hey, let's play here, we can just get there and just start playing over and over again, which is awesome.
A couple things from the interview that maybe you could almost recreate or demonstrate. There are 2 things that stick out, and the one was the he's got my leg and I pick him, which you did to you, and then I think you did to you in 2 different matches. And then slipping the leg, which you kept talking about, trying to get him to throw a leg in. So maybe just kind of walk me through those 2 different things if you can. And you can.
Well, recently, who do we watch that did just the leg slip? Oh, it was in Turkey.
Shimizu did the burrows twice.
So he just like got taken down and, you know, instantly threw a leg in and then just, you know, grabbed leg, swim out.
See it? Can you like?
Well, Dave's the best at it.
You don't have to explain what you're doing. I'm just like, so I can see it, because I hear you talking about it in the interview. And some people are gonna really have no idea what you're talking about.
Left leg, right leg?
I mean, just leg slip basically is guy throws a leg in, and I mean the easiest way is you're just gonna shimmy, and as you shimmy, you swim. So I'm gonna shimmy, I'm gonna drop my inside elbow, and guys are gonna be forced to hang on over here, and then we swim. So I'm gonna shimmy, drop their hips, and then as I swim my arm, I swim and I retreat. And that's a pretty basic leg slip. I think you're seeing it more and more. Collegiately, it's popular, but I'm starting to see it more internationally, you know.
Just from the quad pod position. Like
Quad
when you
pod,
get stuck
yeah.
in there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, guy, instead of, you know, just going down into basic defense, guys are stepping behind that leg, or they're just stepping into the leg, throwing it in. Guys will go real hard for a gut wrench. That's when you just go knee down, pick it up, swim it out.
Heading especially into the NCAA match, did you know he was doing that? Is that
Oh, yeah.
the tendency of his?
Oh, yeah.
So like, can you show me like, you're like,
This is what I did. This is what I did.
You're like, I was on my toes, I wouldn't get up to the side.
I was just pinching here and trying and going knee on the thigh, not throwing leg on the thigh. Because it's the same idea, right? If I throw a leg on the thigh, you know, he can go into a leg slip. But if I throw a knee on the thigh, it makes it a lot harder. You know, he's gonna have to reach back, grab ankle, throw it over, you know, all sorts of stuff. And then I can just switch sides again, stay behind the arms, try to erase, you know, whatever ride time he had. And really, it's just like top bottom wrestling is mental warfare, right? It really is mental warfare. So when you have a guy who's so used to it, to try to get him out of his comfort zone is hugely important, right? If I'm coaching and, you know, I know a guy's really good on the mat, my goal is to ride that guy as long as I can. Like if I were to coach against whoever, Bo Nickel, Miles Martin, it's like break them down on top just so they can't do anything. They feel like they're wasting time. And that kind of emotional taxation is what can win matches for sure.
And then, I guess like, it happened in the scuffle where it turned into a stalemate, right? I'm sorry, I'm switching gears here. He's got my leg up and I reach down and grab his.
We've done it to each other so many times, I don't think it works anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
now,
just got better in our positions.
yeah. I think that's what happens is when you get real heavy front foot. So like if I had Kyle's leg up in the air, you know, I'll on the outside, right? You know,
Either
the
one,
inside's
really.
And it's when you know if this leg's real forward, and you're like, yeah. It's like when you.
So it's like when you drop down, my weight. So usually my weight is on trying to get my front foot down, and then when he's coming in, I'll shift my weight back, load it up here, and now I use this loading to drive back this way and pick his legs up.
And I see it. I mean, in freestyle, you know, it's like when the guy's trying to push you out. So, you know, like if I have Kyle's leg in the end, you gotta be really. I mean, just you know, when you're going, because you kind of forget about your technique sometimes when you're pushing a guy out of bounds.
I mean, you see it so close, right?
You're just thinking, oh, I'm just gonna run this guy out of bounds, and all of a sudden you start, yeah.
And then you start, and that whole scramble situation happens.
I think where he evolves more, you know, and I think this is what more happens now is, you know, guys doing it, and the pick just becomes part of it. So you're here, you know, the guy's going, you know, and you go to pick, the guy's foot goes back, and then you start, you know, and you get into your scrambling position. But yeah, I mean, just kind of keeps the guy honest. Where that play wrestling, you know, in practice, that sparring is where you feel that, you know, and then you can get the understanding of where they're gonna react and stuff.
A lot of that is just like how you distribute your weight. So like, you know, when you're finishing that single leg, if my weight, it really depends on where my weight is on my foot. So if I'm driving and my weight's on my toe and my knee's over my toe, it's gonna be really hard for him to pick that foot. But if I'm lazy and my legs, you know, are more straight and I have more weight on my heel, that's where I can get picked pretty easily. So like you said, when you're sparring in those situations, you feel that. Like you'll feel, okay, when I'm on my toe, I'm good. But most guys don't think that way. They don't think of like their body position when they're wrestling. They're just like, oh, I scored a takedown, or oh, it worked on this guy. I wonder why it worked. They don't analyze how they wrestle. They don't analyze the little things that make big differences. And you'll find some guys who do, and they're miles ahead of the game. You know.
When did that start becoming a thing for either of you? Like deeply analyzing, well, I turn my toe this way or that way. If it's on the heel, if it's on the wall of my foot.
I've always kind of just analyzed little things from when I was a young age, just trying to figure them out. But it wasn't always like talking about it. A lot of it was just like figuring it out. Like getting that position, figure it out. We talk about it all the time. We just like to get into positions and work on our positions. But what does that mean? You know, it means we're trying to figure out the little tiny things that make differences on a guy like David or a guy like Kyle Snyder or a guy like Jordan Burroughs. my defense is going to be different for all three. You know, how I move is going to be different for all three, just because their body type's different, their length is different, their strength is different, their speed is different. So you have to play out all those scenarios as much as you can when you spar. So those are situations that I've always done. I can't pinpoint a time where I'm like, this is when it started.
Yeah, I think I've always been just really technical. Like, it's always been like, okay, do this, guy moves his foot, go here, arm goes here, inside. So I never had strength, you know, until my wrestling until recently. So most of what I had to do was just feel technique and just getting in positions a lot, and spending a lot of time there. So I think that's important, because the better guys I just think at the higher level, I would say the guys that are really good, they do a lot of that kind of play wrestling and sparring, because that's where you really figure out what works and what doesn't work. You can drill something over and over and over again, but until you really, you mentioned it earlier, until you really get a feel of what the guy's going to do, you don't even know. I mean, just getting to the leg is part of it. Finishing is a whole different thing, and the more you feel something and the more different ways a guy can defend it, the more well prepared you are. So it's just really crucial. I mean, there's not a time that I ever just do 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots. Today, slap hands, and pretty much from the very first time you touch the leg, you're basically play wrestling, the whole time. And it's developing great conditioning and just awareness in wrestling positions.
How much different is, because you just said that getting like one thing finished, and that's a whole other thing. I feel like maybe it's even different with a guy like him, where it's like he's even more difficult, frustrating. It's like, is that part of what you enjoy about training together? It's like he's so freaking hard to finish on that I got to get creative and figure new things out.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I've kind of pride myself now. If I get my hands locked, I want to score every time, and that's developing that confidence, wrestling really good guys, so challenging myself against a guy with great defense. And not only great defense, but like tricky defense. I mean, he's got so many different unique things in there. As soon as you get one figured out, he's got 3 more, because he's always learning, so it's great. Every time we're in there, I think we're both getting better and better, because as we get better, we got new ways to try and score and finish.
Hey, by the way, this is the same exact position we were in that picture I was talking about. Do you remember that one? I was looking, overlooking that way. I think I might have done this one. I don't know.
It was in one magazine.
Yeah, it was. Win has it.
Maybe that was, I thought it was from NCAA. Was one of your heads taped?
Yeah, my head was taped.
Okay, I don't know. I thought that was NCAA.
No, that was Scuffle. I just don't understand how, like, John Smith talked about drilling just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the same shot over and over and over again, and how he had a partner who was just there to get taken down, and like I don't understand how he did it, because getting in those positions, like he has that low single position, that duck under position, high crotch position that he's really, really skilled at, and when I drill, it just doesn't seem real to me. So I've never really talked to John about it. I think it would be interesting to talk to him and see what his perspective is, and I think I kind of know, but it'd be a fun conversation to have, and be like, your style of how you got better versus the way I feel like I'm getting better are completely opposite.
I feel like it's an evolution. Because like I was talking to you when I was here last time, I was like, I never even heard of play wrestling. Or like, really, I heard the word spar, but I usually meant boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people were training like this back then. Because I was even up there a year ago asking you guys what's your favorite type of workout, and we're all like, I love to drill, love to drill.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like...
And maybe when John says drilling, he means sparring, or maybe we have the same definition.
Yeah.
I mean, because when I spar, I'm the only one scoring takedowns anyway. But I feel like, and it's probably a stylistic thing too. Like, he's attack mode all the time, and leg slips to attacks. Maybe I'll ask Jordan Oliver, probably knows.
Do you like wrestling with a guy like that who attacks like a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun just because now I get to try to figure out how I can reattack, you know, because there's certain times where he gets to my legs, and I'm not saying it's lazy, but I kind of want him to get to my legs just so I can figure those out. But other times it's like, all right, don't get to my legs. Let me see how I can reattack this position. You know, let me see how I can, you know, head block and run the corner, or, you know, head block, run the corner, and then come back the other way with a chest wrap. There's a bunch of different little things that I try to look for, but it's fun.
I think with play wrestling too, and it comes with maturity for the most part, is, you know, you don't ever want to, like, you don't ever, when you're play wrestling, you don't want to be the guy who just wins the position every time, because then it's like, we're not play wrestling. At that point, you're basically wrestling live, you know, because you're not going 100%. Like, you get to the leg, you're not going the, you know, that's the difference when you do wrestle live versus play wrestling. You might get in that position a lot. When you're wrestling live, you have the urgency to, okay, I'm going to finish this shot. You know, sometimes when you're play wrestling, and that's why you got to be careful to not develop bad habits. You know, that's, I think, kind of what he's saying is, like, you got to be careful of, yeah, you're still, like, developing good habits, but you don't want to just, like, put yourself in a bad position on purpose to then try and wrestle out of it necessarily. You want to kind of have a plan for what you're doing, and I think that's where the maturity comes from when you're doing it. And that's where younger kids struggle, you know, or even high school kids, is, you know, it's, you got to have the maturity of understanding that, okay, well, I can wrestle to a position where I feel comfortable, I feel like I defended it, I feel good, and then we'll wrestle from there, and I'll let the guy get back to a good position, and then I'll wrestle back to where I feel like I get to a good position, and then it's kind of a give and take. Typically, it starts lighter, and then as you go and you're getting warmed up, you start ramping it up a little bit more, and it kind of becomes, however hard the guy goes, you kind of respond to an extent. So it's good, and it's just good getting different feels. It's, you know, it's interesting when you play wrestle some people. You know, it's like, well, this isn't really play wrestling, you know. And then there's some people you play wrestling, like, oh, we feel really good together, you know. So you quickly you can find out almost instantly where it's gonna go, you know, which is kind of funny.
You know if you're wrestling live for 2 hours, or you know if you're actually working on positions for 2 hours. It's funny. Yeah. I usually make people wrestle live. But the thing is, I don't think so. Like, I don't think I make people wrestle live. I just, in my perception of, like, how hard I'm going, it's not that hard. But everyone, like, maybe it's because I'm just, like, super jacked and tan, that people think it's really hard.
Well, it's pretty much an ongoing common theme that we all agree that it's way harder to take Kyle down in drill than it is in live wrestling. And it's harder to take him down in live wrestling. So that's just the, you know, the perspective of when you drill. But I think, honestly, it's because you're more disciplined in the spar. Like, you know, with your positioning, with your knees and stuff. But it's good.
It was funny, we were at camp, and I warmed up with Joey McKenna, who's notorious for not letting anybody take him down. It's like Logan's thing. Logan always talks about it. And Logan thinks I'm the same way. And I don't think I'm the same way, but maybe I am. So I was wrestling with Joey, and Joey goes back to Logan and he goes, oh, that's what it feels like to wrestle me. You don't get any takedowns. It was funny. Logan thought it was a riot.
Hey, last thing. You were talking about a position you were working on today. I think you talked about your toes and shifting. Could you just kind of show us what you were talking about, what you guys were working on, and kind of wrap this segment with your shots to go?
Sure. So it was that same position Dave was in, crackdown. It was this crackdown position, and then he brings that foot up, and I'm just blocking that foot, like trying to hook it or knock it out, just so I don't get in trouble here. But I think a lot of times what will happen is this arm will come out, and people will just give up a double leg. So it's really important to make sure where your elbows are when you're in this position. And a lot of times too, like, you get a good guy, you got to watch where both your elbows are, because he'll hook this far elbow pretty easily. So you have to make sure your elbow's up above his armpit, and then this one has to be blocking this leg too. So it's just I don't know, something new. A lot of times I'll just be here, and this will be the position, that leg back, and then if that leg comes up, that leg comes up. But I just started playing here today.
In the position that I saw that I was playing with, it's funny, we didn't even talk about that. But we were basically both trying to figure out, basically put ourselves in the same position. But like, I was trying to get me underneath, and I was trying to step over and hook this, and then elevate. So we were both basically playing that same position. So it's good.